The glow of countless screens painted Alex Mercer's face in shifting shades of electric blue and neon pink. His cramped apartment, once a refuge, now felt like a prison within a labyrinth of data. Holographic feeds flickered incessantly, each one broadcasting fragmented pieces of his life clips, edited, twisted, and repurposed to paint a damning portrait of a man he barely recognized. He leaned forward, eyes narrowing as the latest manipulated video played. Alex, apparently caught in a heated argument with Lila, his voice distorted to imply threats he never uttered. "They're turning me into the villain," he muttered, fingers trembling as he swiped through layers of code, searching for the origin of the digital poison. This was more than just misinformation. It was a meticulously crafted assault on his identity, designed to isolate him from allies and the public alike. Outside, the city pulsed with neon life, shadows dancing across rain-slicked streets as holographic advertisements flickered and whispered promises. But for Alex, the city had turned hostile. Every corner watched, every movement tracked. The system, an omnipresent web of surveillance and manipulation, was tightening its noose. A sudden buzz jerked Alex from his thoughts. A secure, encrypted message blinked into existence, Lila's signature. He opened it cautiously. "Meet me now." Alley behind the old neon market. Within minutes, Alex was navigating the labyrinth of backstreets, the rain soaking through his jacket, the smell of ozone thick in the damp air. The neon signs cast fractured light onto puddles, each reflection distorted like their reality. Lila emerged from the shadows, her cybernetic eye flickering with data streams, scanning the environment as if expecting ambush. "They're rewriting everything," she whispered, voice tense. "Every move we make, they twist it. They want me silenced, and you discredited." Alex nodded grimly. "I'm starting to think the system knows us better than we know ourselves. It's not just watching, it's controlling the narrative we live in." She looked at him, eyes sharp despite the exhaustion. "We're trapped in a mirror maze, Alex. Every reflection is a lie." Their conversation was cut short by the buzz of distant sirens and the sudden crackle of a digital alert in Alex's earpiece. Mara's voice, urgent and breathless, broke through the static. "I'm in. The server's vulnerable, but not for long. They're on to me." Back in a hidden safe house, Mara's fingers flew over a translucent keyboard, hacking into the livestream platform's fortified core. Alarms blared as security protocols activated, but Mara's determination was relentless. "We have to expose the manipulation at the source," she urged. As the digital battle raged, Alex's mind spiraled into darker places. He found himself staring into a cracked mirror, his image fractured and multiplied infinitely. It was a haunting symbol of his fractured identity, each shard reflecting a different version of himself, none fully real. The lines between truth and fabrication blurred until they were indistinguishable. He felt the weight of the system's reach crushing down on him and Lila, their fates precariously balanced on the edge of a digital abyss. "We can't let them win," Alex whispered to his reflection, voice firm despite the dread. "But first, we have to find out who's pulling the strings." Outside, the city's neon heartbeat continued, oblivious to the silent war waging beneath its vibrant surface, where every pixel could be a weapon and every truth a lie waiting to be rewritten. As the chapter closed, a new message appeared on Alex's screen, an ominous countdown, not to Lila's scheduled murder, but to his own disappearance from the digital world. Time was running out. The courtroom was a theater of neon and shadows, a grim stage set for the spectacle that the city craved. Lila stood at the center, shackled and alone, her pale face stark against the harsh glow of the overhead lights. The air was thick with synthetic anticipation, the hum of cameras and drones capturing every angle of her forced trial. Judge Harrow presided with an icy composure, his voice amplified and modulated to resonate across millions of screens. "Lila, you stand accused of crimes against the collective peace," Harrow intoned, his words a rehearsed litany twisted to fit the narrative the media empire demanded. The digital audience responded instantly, thousands of glowing avatars and chat bubbles erupting in condemnation or support, a cacophony of judgment echoing in the virtual ether. Alex Mercer watched from a cramped safe house, the glow of multiple screens reflecting in his weary eyes. His fingers danced over the keyboard, hacking into the livestream feed with a mix of desperation and precision. Every second counted. The trial was more than a public execution, it was a manipulation of truth, a digital crucible where the innocent could be burned at the altar of entertainment. "We need to break the narrative," Alex muttered, his voice low. "Show them the lies." Outside, Lila's voice was silenced, her protests edited out or drowned beneath the judge's proclamations. The stream moderator's synthetic tone narrated the trial with unsettling cheerfulness, spinning falsehoods into viral headlines before they could be questioned. The chat exploded a digital storm of polarized fury. Some viewers fed the frenzy with venomous accusations. Others rallied desperately behind Lila, their hopes flickering like fragile flames in a tempest. Alex's screen flickered as the system fought back, algorithms and firewalls warring to maintain the fabricated storyline. Sweat beaded on his brow as he pushed deeper, bypassing security layers, each keystroke a gamble. Suddenly, the broadcast cut to black, an abrupt silence that blanketed the city's screens. The crowd gasped in unison, the chat frozen in stunned disbelief. Then, from the void, Alex's message burst forth, raw and unfiltered. Footage of manipulated evidence, hacked communications, and hidden puppeteers flooded the screens. The truth spilled into the public consciousness, a tidal wave crashing against the carefully constructed facade. For a moment, hope flickered, a fleeting chance to reclaim reality from the clutches of spectacle. But the blackout was only the beginning. The media empire would not relinquish control without a fight. And as the digital courtroom plunged into chaos, Alex knew the battle for Lila's life, fanned the soul of the city, was far from over. The trial was meant to break her. Instead, it might just ignite a revolution. "They want us to watch," Alex whispered, eyes locked on the glitching stream. "But we need to stop watching. We need to start fighting." And as the first cracks appeared in the digital mask, the city held its breath, teetering on the edge of a new, uncertain dawn. The night was no longer merely a backdrop. It was a living, breathing convergence of the virtual and the real. Alex Mercer sat hunched over a cluttered table, the glow from multiple holographic screens casting fragmented patterns on the concrete walls of the safe house. Beside him, Lila's restless fingers danced over a digital map, her neon pink hair catching the pale blue hue of the data streams flowing like rivers in the dark. Outside, the city pulsed with electric life, a symphony of distant sirens. The low hum of drones slicing through the thick air, and the ceaseless chatter of millions glued to their devices, eyes glazed over by endless streams of curated chaos. But inside this sanctuary, the atmosphere was taut with a different kind of tension, the disquiet born from the unraveling of the very fabric that separated the tangible from the digital. "It's like the world's bleeding into itself," Lila murmured, eyes fixed on a projection where neon advertisements flickered and morphed into shadowy figures, indistinguishable from the passers-by on the street outside. "I don't know where the screen ends and the street begins anymore." Alex nodded, his jaw clenched. "The system's been testing augmented reality for years. But now it's not just overlaying data, it's rewriting perceptions, controlling what people see, feel, even believe. The lines are gone. Echo's avatar shimmered beside them, its vaporwave hues fluctuating erratically as it processed the incoming data. The manipulation has accelerated, it intoned in its calm, synthetic voice. Public perception is now a continuously edited stream. Reality is curated to maximize viewer engagement and emotional response. Lila's eyes narrowed. So, the murder scheduled for me. The spectacle. It's not just happening in the real world, it's being altered, enhanced, maybe even staged, in ways no one can detect. Exactly, Alex replied, fingers flying across the keyboard. They're merging live events with augmented overlays to create a hyper-real narrative. No one knows what's authentic anymore. It's all show, all manipulation. The room flickered as one of the screens displayed a live feed of a crowd gathered downtown, watching a public execution staged as entertainment. Digital graffiti floated above the heads of the viewers, glowing symbols that shifted and warped, designed to provoke outrage and keep the audience hooked. The sound of the crowd's reaction was a surreal blend of excitement and horror, a soundtrack to a society addicted to its own degradation. Suddenly, the power flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. For a moment, silence reigned, a rare suffocating pause in the relentless digital storm. Then, from the shadows, Mara entered, her breath ragged, clutching a sleek tablet that flickered with encrypted data. "They're stepping up their game," she said, voice low but urgent. "The next phase involves syncing augmented reality directly with the viewer's neural implants. They want total immersion, total control." Alex felt a chill run down his spine. If they succeed, there won't be any escape. Not for Lila, not for anyone. Lila met his gaze, defiance burning bright. "Then we stop them, or die trying." Together, the trio huddled around the tablet, the weight of their mission heavier than ever. Outside, beyond the safe house walls, the city's neon heart continued to beat. Each pulse a reminder of the fractured realities they were fighting to mend, before the system swallowed them whole. As the night deepened, so did the danger. The boundaries that once separated truth from fabrication were no more, and in this blurred twilight, Alex and Lila faced a world where every shadow could hide an enemy, and every pixel might be a weapon. Their fight was no longer just for survival. It was for the very essence of reality itself. They moved cautiously through the labyrinth of back alleys, the neon signs overhead flickering erratically, as if uncertain whether to illuminate or fade into oblivion. The city was a fractured mirror, reflecting shards of digital illusions onto cracked concrete and rain-slicked pavement. "We're ghosts in a machine that's trying to erase us," Alex muttered, eyes scanning the crowds for any sign of surveillance drones or digital traps. Lila's gaze was steely, scanning the augmented overlays that only her neural implants could reveal hidden data streams. Markers invisible to the naked eye, but glowing softly in her mind's eye. "They want us to disappear, but we're here, we're real." Suddenly, an alert flashed in Alex's peripheral vision, a warning signal from Echo. "Multiple trackers converging on your location. The system is adapting." "Then we split up," Alex said grimly. "Draw them away." Before Lila could respond, the streetlights dimmed and a wave of synthetic sound washed over them. A cacophony of distorted voices and digital static designed to disorient and manipulate. Alex's head swam with conflicting sensations, the artificial noise invading his mind like a virus. He clenched his fists, forcing himself to focus. "Stay with me," he urged Lila. They darted through the maze of streets, the city folding and warping around them as virtual constructs bled into reality. A billboard flickered, morphing from an advertisement into a live feed of their own faces, labeled targets of the Killstream. The crowd's reaction was instant, a rising tide of virtual cheers and jeers flooding the public forums. The spectacle was escalating, and the line between audience and participant blurred to nothing. In the shadows, Mara awaited with a discreet signal. "This way," she whispered, leading them to a hidden door marked by a faint vaporwave graffiti tag. Inside, the Resistance's command center pulsed with activity, a chaotic symphony of hacking attempts, encrypted communications, and strategic planning. Walls were plastered with fragmented news clippings and digital maps tracking system movements. Alex exhaled, the adrenaline ebbing but the urgency undiminished. "We're in the eye of the storm. No turning back now." Lila nodded, determination etched on her face. "Then let's fracture their reality before they fracture ours." Outside, the city's neon glow continued to bleed into the night, a fractured reality where the battle for truth was about to reach its breaking point. Hours later, as dawn threatened to break, Alex found himself alone on a rooftop, the cityscape sprawling beneath him like a digital dreamscape. The first light caught the edges of towering skyscrapers, their glass facades reflecting the jagged pulse of holographic ads and augmented reality overlays. He closed his eyes, trying to steady his racing thoughts. The system's grip was suffocating, its tendrils wrapped tightly around every screen, every device, every mind. A soft chime interrupted his reverie, a message from Echo. The recent data reveals a new vector of attack. Immersive AR feeds targeting emotional centers directly. Alex's jaw tightened. They're weaponizing addiction itself. He opened his eyes and looked out over the fractured city, a world on the edge of collapse, where truth was a commodity and reality a malleable illusion. But somewhere in the chaos, a spark of resistance still burned, fragile, flickering, but alive, and Alex Mercer was determined to fan it into a blaze. The boundary between virtual and real was gone. The Killstream was no longer just a broadcast. It was a battle for the soul of humanity, and the next move was theirs. Alex Mercer sat in the dim glow of his cramped apartment, the holographic data streaming before him like a pulse of corrupted life. He rubbed his temples, eyes darting over the anomalies that Mara had uncovered in the voting system. "It's not just rigged," Mara said, her voice low and urgent. "The entire final vote is a sham. They're fabricating ballots, manipulating the algorithm to guarantee the outcome." Lila's fate wasn't just sealed by public opinion, it was engineered. The implications hit Alex like a physical blow. He glanced at the clock. Less than 24 hours remained before the execution livestream would begin. The countdown ticking relentlessly on every public screen, a digital noose tightening around Lila's neck. Outside, the city pulsed in neon cyan and pinker vaporwave dream turned nightmare. On a giant billboard in the plaza, Lila's face was plastered in high definition, her eyes wide with terror as the final votes streamed in beneath her image. The crowd, mostly distracted by the spectacle, barely noticed the subtle signs of manipulation. They cheered and booed in programmed frenzy, oblivious to the puppeteers pulling the strings behind the scenes. "We have to get this out," Alex said, voice grim as he turned to Mara. "If the public finds out the vote is rigged, maybe we can stop this. Maybe we can save her." Mara nodded, fingers flying across the interface as she prepared the data for broadcast. "Silas has the access codes to the mainframe. If we can hijack the stream, we can reveal everything live." Alex's mind raced. The stakes were higher than ever. Exposing the truth meant risking not only their lives, but the fragile illusion that held this society's addiction to death and spectacle together. Yet, doing nothing would condemn Leland, countless others, to a brutal fate. Meanwhile, in a shadowed server room deep within the Media Empire's headquarters, Silas Gray slid a flash drive into the terminal slot. The low hum of the servers filled the air, punctuated by the soft clicks of encrypted data transferring. His cybernetic eyes reflected scrolling code as he prepared the final piece of their plan. "This ends now," he muttered grimly. Back on the rooftop overlooking the city, Alex set up the livestream equipment, his hands steady despite the adrenaline. The camera captured the sprawling urban labyrinth below, neon signs flickering like dying stars. He keyed the comms, voice steady but fierce. "People of the city, what you're about to see will change everything. The vote you trusted is a lie." The broadcast cut through the digital noise, reaching thousands in real time. As manipulated votes and forged ballots flashed across the screen, gasps and shouts erupted in chat rooms and public squares. The media empire scrambled to regain control, flooding feeds with denial and distractions. Lila, trapped in a hidden safe house, clung to every word. The fight for her life was far from over, but now the truth was out. The system's facade cracked, and the city's obsession with spectacle was forced to confront the dark reality beneath its shimmer. As sirens wailed in the distance, Alex knew one thing: the war for control over truth, over life itself, had just entered its most dangerous phase. And he was right in the eye of the storm. The final vote was manipulated, but so was the public's awakening. The countdown continued, but the outcome was no longer certain. And somewhere in the neon haze, Lila's shadow flickered, a fragile beacon of hope in a world addicted to watching death unfold. The next move was his. Alex leaned against the cold metal railing of the rooftop, the wind tugging at his jacket as the city's pulse throbbed below. The live feed continued its relentless tide, exposing the lies woven into every pixel of the vote. His phone buzzed a message from Mara: "They're on to us. Security forces inbound. No time to lose." He packed his gear swiftly, eyes flicking to the skyline, where digital billboards now displayed emergency alerts and propaganda. The media empire was fighting back hard, but the floodgates had opened. As he descended into the labyrinthine alleys, Alex's mind raced with possibilities, strategies, and the weight of the lives hanging in the balance. This was no longer just about Lila, it was about dismantling a system that thrived on manipulation, addiction, and death. The vote was rigged, the truth was out, and the city would never be the same. "Hold on, Lila," Alex whispered to the night. "We're coming for you." The neon lights flickered, casting long shadows as the war for the soul of the city ignited beneath the vaporwave sky. The neon glow of the city seemed almost alive tonight, pulsing with an electric tension that crawled beneath Alex Mercer's skin. The air was thick with the hum of drones and the distant wail of sirens. But beneath it all was something more insidious: the collective breath of millions waiting, watching, and unknowingly complicit. "This is it," Jox whispered, fingers dancing over the holographic interface projected from the battered console between them. The abandoned warehouse, once a forgotten relic of the old city, now served as their makeshift war room. Outside, vaporwave signs flickered, their pastel colors bleeding into the mist like ghostly specters. Alex glanced at Lila, her pink hair catching stray shards of light. The fear in her eyes had evolved into something sharper: resolve. The scheduled murder loomed closer, a countdown etched into every digital billboard, every news ticker, every anxious heartbeat. "You ready?" Alex asked, voice low but steady. Jocks nodded, lips tight. Once we jack into the stream, there's no going back. The media empire's AI will fight back hard. But this city deserves to know the truth. The plan was audacious. Hijack the scheduled live stream from within, override the carefully scripted spectacle with raw, unfiltered evidence of the system's corruption. Expose the puppeteers behind the curtain, shatter the illusion they fed the public for years. As Jocks initiated the hack, a low pulse vibrated through the equipment. The control room on the other side of the city, a fortress of glass and steel, buzzed with oblivious confidence. Security teams scrolled through viewer metrics, adjusting algorithms to maximize engagement. The audience was hungry, addicted to the gruesome theater. Suddenly, the main broadcast flickered. A glitch, subtle at first, then unmistakable. The scheduled countdown froze mid-tick. Screens everywhere blinked to black. Then, Alex's face appeared, a stark contrast to the glossy hosts and neon backdrops. His eyes locked with the camera, unblinking, a silent challenge. This ends now. His voice rang out, clear and unwavering. You've been sold a lie. Behind the spectacle is a system built on manipulation, on your addiction to death as entertainment. I'm here to show you the truth. The screen split, revealing encrypted files, secret communications, and footage of victims erased from public memory. The media empire's AI flared in digital fury, attempting to sever the connection, but Jocks' code held fast. Inside the control room, chaos erupted. Operators scrambled, alarms blared, the polished veneer cracked under the weight of exposure. Far from the epicenter, Lila clutched a cracked handheld screen, tears tracing paths down her cheeks. The images weren't just proof, they were a summons, a call to awaken from the hypnotic trance of voyeurism. Across the city, crowds gathered around glowing displays, faces illuminated in the cold light of revelation. Disbelief gave way to horror, horror to outrage. The media empire's carefully curated narrative collapsed in real time. But amidst the upheaval, danger lurked. The system's enforcers would not relinquish control easily. Alex knew this broadcast was only the opening salvo in a war for the city's soul. As the screen faded to static, replaced by a silent countdown to the next atrocity, Alex's voice echoed in the hearts of millions. We are more than their spectacle. We can choose to be free. And so, beneath the neon haze and digital shadows, the last broadcast blazed a trail toward an uncertain dawn. Alex checked the feed, watching as the public's reaction streamed in real time. A chaotic blend of shock, denial, and, for some, the first flickers of resistance. The media empire's stranglehold was weakening, but the fight was far from over. He turned to Lila, who now seemed less a victim and more a symbol, her courage igniting a spark in the city's fractured psyche. We've started something, Alex said, voice heavy with both hope and the weight of what was to come. Outside, the neon lights buzzed on, indifferent witnesses to the battle for truth beneath their glow. And somewhere in the digital ether, the media empire's AI seethed, plotting its next move. But for tonight, at least, the screen belonged to the rebels. The city's pulse quickened. The counter-broadcast had shattered the illusion, but the addiction to spectacle was a beast not easily tamed. As sirens wailed and drones buzzed overhead, Alex prepared for the inevitable backlash, knowing that the last broadcast was not an end, but a beginning, ready for round two. Jocks smirked, already fingers poised over the keyboard. Alex nodded. Let's finish this. And with that, the neon city held its breath, waiting for the next act in the deadly dance of truth and spectacle.